I'm America's digital pro, Kim Commando, and welcome to Tech News This Week. It's a podcast that gets right to the top stories, the scams, the security alerts, and crazy happenings in the world of tech. Hey, listen, coming up, we're going to tell you about an interesting new law that's supposed to beef up internet security on your connected devices. But the real question is it going to work?
I'm Mike James. We're also going to tell you about Apple's plan to help you stop those annoying spam phone calls. And of course, that can't come soon enough.
Plus, a recent discovery might finally help answer that age-old question. Are we alone in the universe?
Hey, did you ever use Google's social media site called Google+? If so, your information may have been stolen. Later, Kim looks at Google's revelation that a security flaw exposed user data for years. Plus, Kim's going to talk to you about some interesting and life-changing ways to use Alexa.
All that and much more coming up on Tech News This Week from Commando.com. And right now, a quick thank you to our partners who help make this podcast possible. We're going to start with an interesting new law that's coming to us from the state of California. All right, think of all those internet-connected devices all over your home. Your routers, your webcams, maybe even your smart crock pot. You probably don't realize that most of them come with ridiculously easy-to-hack passwords. For example, many routers and webcams, they have default administrative passwords. Super easy, everybody knows them. You want to guess? All right. One is admin, and the second popular password is password. I know, disappointing. The idea is when you set up your new gadget, you change the default password. Make it something strong that scammers won't be able to crack. But that doesn't happen. Too many people are just leaving the default password in place, making themselves just prime targets for criminals. So lawmakers in California, they're trying to make that stop. They just passed a law that goes into effect the beginning of 2020. It actually makes it illegal for companies to set weak default passwords on any devices made in the state. And here's the deal. Not too many of those devices are made in the state. So it kind of makes you wonder if the law is going to be any good, if it's going to have any effect on anything. But the whole idea is that's going to require manufacturers to set complex, unique admin passwords for all internet-connected devices. Or they have to put up some type of startup procedure in place that will force the buyer to create a strong password when they're setting it up. And as we all know, strong passwords, they're always the way to go.
Well, how sick and tired are you of getting spam phone calls? It's a plague on society that's been getting worse and worse, and things are so bad that one of the winners of this year's Nobel Prize in economics ignored 2 calls from officials to tell him he'd won. He thought they were spam calls. But there might be some good news for Apple fans. A patent was recently filed by the company that would help iPhone users avoid spam calls. Now, if it becomes a reality, the new feature would analyze technical data from incoming calls to determine if they are legit or spoofed phone numbers. The system would display a warning if the incoming call is thought to be spam, so you can just let it go to voicemail. So that is pretty cool. As I said, this is only one patent right now. There is no word on when it could be implemented, but it would be nice to get some help weeding out the nuisance phone calls. By the way, we did do a podcast of that a while back, and you can get that at podnet.com. Look for Commando on Demand, and then the podcast about spam phone calls. Okay, so here's some cool laser news. Laser beams.
Mr. Powers, you'll notice that all of the sharks have laser beams attached to their heads. I figure every creature deserves a warm meal.
Have you ever seen a hologram of a popular artist who have passed away? They're light beams from a laser and create a 3D image of someone like Michael Jackson, Billie Holiday, Roy Orbison, Tupac Shakur. We all remember that. And these guys have all been brought back to life, so to speak, for special performances over the years. Well, that same technology is being used to bring back the Gipper. So special effects technicians have created 3 holograms of former President Ronald Reagan. They are all on display for visitors at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in California. The tech used audio from campaign stops from over 30 years ago to go along with the lifelike hologram. Reagan's face comes to life with movements of the mouth, nose, eyes, and cheeks, and it's all with the help of computers. Visitors are being amazed by the resemblance. A former Reagan employee said it's a little eerie, but at the same time, very comforting.
Okay, what do you think? Are we alone in the universe? All right, that's the question that scientists have been trying to answer for decades. Well, a recent discovery may finally answer this question. One technique that scientists use to locate alien life is by tracking radio waves. And there's been some amazing developments lately. Over the last year, Australian researchers detected one of the biggest collection of fast radio bursts. The special radio telescope that they used picked up, get this, 20 fast radio bursts. That's almost double the number detected worldwide since they were first discovered in 2007. And get this, the scientists say that they've proven that the fast radio bursts are coming from the other side of the universe and not from our own galactic neighborhood. Astronomers are anxious to find out where they're actually coming from, of course. So one explanation could be that the waves are from this massive neutron star. But another is that they're actually being sent by extremely advanced aliens. Who knows, maybe ET really is phoning home. More tech news from Komando.com is coming up in a moment. And have you heard of the self-driving car maker Waymo? All right, you're going to be totally surprised at how the company is preparing to make the road ready. And right now, a quick thank you to our amazing partners who help make this podcast possible.
If you've been paying attention to self-driving cars, you know they're getting closer to reality. Many companies have test-driven them for years now, but one seems to be leading the way. It is Waymo. They've reached an impressive milestone this week. It crossed the 10 million miles driven mark. The company has been testing autonomous vehicles in 25 cities across the country for about a decade. But what it's been doing behind the scenes is even more impressive. The company has also been testing self-driving cars in virtual realm. In fact, it drives a whopping 10 million miles virtually every single day. One rep said by the end of the month, it'll cross the 7 billion miles driven mark. So a billion with a B. That is pretty impressive.
We all know about Facebook's massive data breaches. This time, Google announced a breach, and their idea is to shut the site down. Google has its own social media site called Google+. Google announced that between 2015 and March 2018, no one was paying attention. A security flaw, as Silicon Valley likes to say, left the personal information of some 500,000 people up for grabs. Email addresses, gender, occupation, you get the drift. For years. Some 430 different applications had access to that data too. Google says that they're going to shut Google Plus down because no one was using it anyway. But that doesn't mean anything. Your data was up for grabs. What happened to the Google slogan anyway? Don't be evil. Oh, that's right. They stopped using that months ago.
Most of us are still dealing with the after effects from a massive data breach at Equifax from last year. Well, now, here's another credit reporting agency that has leaked even more information. Here's Komando.com's Spike Spengal.
Here we go again. There is another massive data breach from a credit reporting agency. People are still scrambling to clean up the mess left by the breach we found out about last year at Equifax, and there's another already. The latest problem happened at Experian. There's a glitch with its process of retrieving a PIN that's set to protect a frozen Experian credit report. The bug makes it easier for a criminal to steal the PIN, unfreeze the credit report, and open new accounts in someone else's name. Experian said it has addressed the issue after learning about it from a security researcher, but it doesn't know how long the bug was in place. Here's how the bug worked. People who choose to have a credit freeze on their report are either issued or choose a PIN code. The PIN is used to unfreeze your report when you're applying for new credit. If you forget the PIN, you need to answer 4 security questions. Each question has none of the above as a possible answer. That's where the bug comes into play. All a scammer needed to do was answer none of the above for all 4 questions, and Experian system just gave them the PIN code. Are you kidding? What a terribly easy way for a criminal to steal your PIN. Now that the flaw has been fixed, answering each question with none of the above will give you a message saying your request can't be processed. But who knows how many consumers' PIN codes were stolen before it was patched? If you or someone you know has a credit freeze, contact Experian immediately and request a new PIN, just in case. Do you have a smart TV in your home? They have truly changed the home entertainment experience, mostly for the better. Being connected to the internet means you can save tons of money by using streaming services instead of paying for cable. But there is one drawback to being connected to the internet. Hackers can find ways to break into your devices. That's actually what's happening right now with one of the most popular TV makers in the world. There are a handful of Sony Bravia smart TVs that have a flaw which would allow hackers to take control. Security researchers found 3 critical bugs on certain Bravia models that would let hackers execute remote code with elevated privileges. That means they could have exploited the flaws, then install malware to use the TV as part of a botnet or even infect other gadgets connected to the home network. The good news is there's a fix. Sony sent a firmware update that patches the bug, but you need to make sure that it's installed and your TV is safe. Go to commando.com and read our Happening Now story titled, "If You Have This TV, It Has 3 Critical Bugs, So Update the Firmware." In the article, you will find every impacted model, along with the latest firmware version that you should be running. It also tells you how to find this information and update the firmware in case you need help. Check it out. It'll only take a few minutes, and it'll help your devices stay safe.
Let's talk about your teeth. I know, you don't want to talk about your teeth. Don't worry. You don't need to go to the dentist, all right? I'm going to bet that you're like me. You've had your parents, your teachers, and even dentists telling you how to brush your teeth your whole life. And each one has a different technique. Now, one thing that everybody agrees on is that you have to brush your teeth for a full 2 minutes. Do you really do 2 minutes? Come on, be honest. You stopped singing Happy Birthday when you brush your teeth a long time ago. So let me tell you about Quip. Quip is electric. It's the small, light, and sleek toothbrush. There's a built-in 2-minute timer, but here's the deal. It pulses every 30 seconds to remind you to switch sides. Yes! So with Quip, you have new brush heads that are automatically delivered. Just like everybody recommends, those dentists say this every 3 months. And it's cheap. It's only $5. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to try Quip and see why it's backed by more than 20,000 dental professionals. Quip starts at just $25. That's it. Here's the website. Head over to getquip.com/tech right now. Your first refill pack is absolutely free. Here's the address. getquip.com/tech. That's getquip.com/tech. I've worn an Apple Watch for years, and the latest model just might save my life someday. It takes a lot for a gadget to wow me, like the Apple Watch Series 4 has. For starters, its accelerometer and gyroscope can detect when you've fallen. If you're unresponsive after 60 seconds, an emergency call is placed automatically. A message with your location is sent to your emergency contacts. But the real draw is your heart. My resting heart rate is around 48 beats per minute. Last week, it jumped to 80. It peaked at 121. Fortunately, a trip to the emergency room showed only a bad case of dehydration. By the end of the year, the watch will generate an ECG, similar to a single-lead electrocardiogram, and detect arrhythmias. You still need to go to the doctor, but having this data on your wrist could save your life.
So how often would you say you use a messaging app? Millions of people are on popular ones like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp, which means they're prime targets for cyber criminals, and criminals have figured that out. They've got a clever way to take over your WhatsApp account without any knowledge or interaction on your part. All they need to know is your phone number. Here's how they do it. Once the hacker asks to register WhatsApp on their device, but with your phone number, by default, WhatsApp sends a 6-digit code as an SMS text message to the victim's phone to verify that they're the one making the request. But here's the trick. The scammer does this during a time frame where the victims most likely won't see the message right away, usually in the middle of the night. So WhatsApp then offers to call the victim's phone with an automated message that reads the code. Since they aren't awake to answer, the message then gets left on voicemail. Now, here's the security flaw. Many carrier networks provide generic phone numbers that you can call to access your voicemail. The only thing you need to hear them is a 4-digit PIN, and most of them are set by default as super weak PINs. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4 zeros. The hackers just types in one of these weak PIN codes, and just like that, they have your WhatsApp code. It sounds elaborate, but it's really not that elaborate. Scammers can easily pull off this this account hijack in really no time. But there is a way to outsmart them when you set up two-factor authentication. Instead of choosing to receive codes by text, get them through an authentication app. Google's Authenticator is an example, and it's free to use. This is a good idea to use with all of your accounts that offer two-factor security. With so many phone hacks out there, it's much more secure than getting codes by text.
And up next, did you know that almost 40 million people now own voice-activated speakers? What do you think the most popular one is? Oh, you're so smart. That's right. The most popular speaker is the Amazon Echo. All right, just ahead, I'm going to tell you some really interesting and life-changing ways that you can use Alexa. All right, get this. Almost 40 million people own voice-activated speakers, which is about 1 in 6 U.S. adults. The most popular speaker is the Amazon Echo and that trusty assistant, Alexa. Now, most people ask Alexa to play music or order more paper towels, but there's so much more Alexa can do. Here's how those of us in the know actually use Alexa. In real life, a human assistant doesn't require separate requests. When you walk into the office, you don't have to say, "Hey, Pat, can I have a cup of coffee?" Then say, "Pat, could you do me a favor and answer the phone?" Alexa can now imitate this behavior thanks to its routines feature. For instance, you could say, "Alexa, I'm home," and Alexa will greet you, turn on the living room lights, read the news, and play a music playlist. Or you can say, "Alexa, good night," and she's going to reply, "Sweet dreams." And she'll also lock your doors, set your thermostat, turn off all your lights, and then play white noise to lull you to sleep. Another cool thing to try with multiple Amazon Echoes is to set them up as multi-room intercoms. This way, you can use your smart speakers to broadcast an announcement to your whole house. For example, you can say, "Alexa, announce that dinner's ready." And Alexa will record your voice and repeat your announcement on every Echo in your home. You can also set them up to play the same music simultaneously, a lot like having a centralized speaker system in your house. If you're familiar with Apple's AirPlay or Sonos, it works pretty much the same way. And Alexa has gotten a heck of a lot smarter. For example, let me ask her a question. "Alexa, what is the best radio show in the entire world?"
Hands down, the best radio show is the Kim Komando Show, hosted by America's digital goddess, Kim Komando.
I'm America's Digital Pro, Kim Komando, and now you're up to date. And I'm sure you want to learn more. So listen to my other podcasts or let them come to you in the free Komando.com app, which you can get at iTunes and Google Play. Just search for KOMANDO on your favorite podcast player. And join me this weekend for my national radio show. I answer your questions about everything digital, and I'm sure you have at least a few. For the station nearest you, head over to komando.com/radio. That's KOMANDO.com/radio.